Hi, it's Lau. I'm going to answer a couple emails that I was sent the last couple months, and one of the things that they were asking is to paraphrase, it's the world is going to hell in a handbasket. In their opinion, the world is um, people being, so much dissension, so much contention with one another, and they were saying, how do Taoists find peace in these troubled times? How is it that, if you read the Thomas Cleary books on translations of Taoist biographies, if you read the Chuang-Tzu, if you read a lot of the text, they say, it's like they could find peace in anything. And the answer is well, that's what peace is. Peace is a choice, no matter what's going on around you. If you have to have something taken away for you to feel peace, then it's not peace. It's simply either distraction or it's the ability to control your environment because you can't control your own emotional self. But it's actually something that I kind of thought to myself, and I was thinking, what's the best language? What's the best way to express this? And I guess the best way to say it is stop looking for happiness. Stop making happiness to be the penultimate goal. If you are looking for happiness, then you're going to find unhappiness. If you're looking for happiness, then you're going to find sadness. If you're looking for happiness, you're going to find jealousy and anger and despair. The reason for all this is simply because you can't find one without them all. They all live and appear in the same place inside of you. Happiness is an emotion, and it's a state too, but it's a joy, I guess, instead of happiness. It's something that you find within yourself, but you find all of them. They're neurochemical storms within the body, and they're not separate. They're not just in your head. The way that your brain and your identity, or as Jung says in Jungian psychology, your persona, translates and identifies this behavior as, oh, I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling joy, I'm feeling anger. But, you're being told that. You don't know that's true. And most people don't do enough self-introspection, right? There's another thing with Jung, which is, stop envisioning beings of light and instead start making the darkness conscious. Go into those places within the self, the subconscious, the unconscious, the personal and collective, where a lot of your driving behaviors are derived from. And you'll find that most of the things that you're feeling because there's a you to feel it. There's an identity. And so if Jane does this and then she hurt me, no, Jane just did an action. Jane's just going through Jane's life. You interpret her behavior and then you imply it or apply it to yourself. And through your inferences, which are completely fallible, you find anger and upset and bitterness or happiness or whatever else. So as long as Jane complies to your and conforms to your vision of the world, you're happy. I love Jane. But the minute Jane's world doesn't match your own, that mother, she did that to hurt me. Oh, she didn't. Okay, it's about looking at your meanings. We've talked about this before, but your meanings come from your persona. It comes from your identity. But how do Taoists do it? Well, first off, we seek to dismantle the identity. We do that by first pointing a foil or a device called Taoist. That is itself an identity, but it's one that's meant to be dismantled. It's one that's meant to be disabled. But, the interesting thing is Taoists don't seek happiness. That's why they find it. It's like if you try to, chase a butterfly, you're never going to catch it. But if you sit where butterfly are and you just put your hand out, they'll follow you. They'll find you. So what's the mechanism? What's that key that unlocks it? The answer is it's about meaning. It's about purpose. Seek a life of purpose. Seek a life of meaning. And then it won't matter what you feel. When you're in your darkest times, which are inevitably going to come. If you have a human existence, you're going to have some dark times. It's inescapable. You're also going to have amazing times. And it probably won't be equal if your identity is a victim or if your identity is one that's being put upon. And it won't be equal if you're the one who thinks the world is great and you're this forever optimist. That's not the way to do it. That's trying to define the world. You can't define it. It's undefinable. I rarely give book recommendations, but here's one that you might like. It's by a guy named Robert Sapolsky. It's called Behave, and you want to take some time to get through this. This isn't one you can rush through. It's a pretty big book, but it'll help you understand how you come to those identities and what brain functions are that happen. It's pretty interesting. But if you're seeking a life of meaning, if you're seeking a life of purpose, people say, well, what if I can't find my purpose? And of course you can't find it. It doesn't exist until you create it, like everything else. You can't find your house until you build it. You can't find your, wardrobe unless you put it together. You have to make it. I'm sorry, this life doesn't have anything pre-made for you. You have to go make it. If you want it, go create it. If there's a job you want and it doesn't exist, you have to create that job. If there does exist, find out what somebody else did, model their behavior as you would do it, not as they would do it, as you would do it, and tailor it to yourself. You have to make it your own, right? This is the nature of life, but you have to do it with purpose. When you're living on purpose, when you go through those inevitable dark times, you come right through it because you have a why. And when your why is strong enough, when your why, your fuel, why do I do this? And you're sitting there with your head in your hand and you're going, why do I keep going? Why does this happen? Well, if you have a purpose, there's your why. And it's got to be strong enough. And if it is, guess what happens? You get to the top of the mountain. Sir Edmund Hillary climbed Everest because he had a strong enough why. That's it. You don't think he wanted to stop? Of course he wanted to stop. We all do. But you can stop as often as you like. Just don't let your feet stop moving. In the end, you'll have to define your purpose. When you find your purpose, whatever that is to you, what's enough to devote your life to? If you said nothing, well, there you go. You have no purpose. You're purposeless. You have to choose something. And then from there, what you'll have to do is once you find that purpose, you have to build a life and context and rituals that support, sustain, and surround that purpose. Your rituals are the key to your success. Whatever you habitually do is what you become. People who are very wealthy have very specific rituals. People who are very spiritually adroit have very specific rituals. People who are just, bitter so-and-sos, they have their rituals too. You're as successful as your rituals. Rituals are built like this. There's a cue, a trigger, then you go to the ritual, and then you have the result, reward, whatever it is. Okay? Look at your cues. The cues you have in your life, are you using them? A client came to me the other day, and she had a deformation of her hip. She has pain. It doesn't happen all the time through the day, but if the muscle or the ligaments or anything gets tired, the pain starts. So she says, I don't know how I can live with this pain. I said, well, you have a life. I don't know how many decades are in it, or maybe even days or hours, but however time in it, you're going to have to live. Now, we can do our best to strengthen the leg. We can do all these things, but based on how long you let this go and how long this happened, the pain's going to be there. But what if that pain could be useful to you? And she said, what use is pain? I said, well, that's a very good question. Maybe you should ask it this another way. What use is pain? And so I said, how about this? Every time you feel pain, why don't you link a ritual to it? How about this one? You breathe deeply, and you let the air come in through all the parts of your head, all the parts of your heart, all the parts of your abdomen, breathing in through your whole body in, and exhale through the bottom of your feet. And keep doing that. And she's like, will that get rid of the pain? I'm like, I don't know, probably. Lamaze, they use Lamaze for it. But the point is breathing has less to do with the body and more to do with your mental facilities. And the more deeper and calmer and slower you breathe, the more your mental facilities become acute. You become here and now, and you become peaceful, right? So I said, if you link that pain to peace, even if the pain never goes away, you still have peace. You see, it's about linking the stimulus, linking the triggers in your life to a ritual you want. If you don't, you'll still get a ritual. It's just probably not one you're going to like. Maybe it will be. But if you're willing to take that gamble, then that's on you. My advice to you, though, is ritualize your life. There are things that bother you. put a good ritual to them and they won't bother you so much. They'll just be devices that you use to your benefit instead of being devices that use you to their own. Okay? All right, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. You can put a comment or you can hit like. If you want to have a question offline, it's lau@fourdragonschool.com. Until then, we'll talk to you next time.